The room buzzed with life, laughter echoing off the walls, mingling with the clinking of glasses and excited chatter. Family gathered to celebrate Henry and Martha's 65th wedding anniversary. It was a testament to a love story envied by many. Grandchildren chased each other in playful chaos, weaving between tables laden with cake and snacks. Photos adorned the walls, each a snapshot of shared memories, youthful wedding smiles, the arrival of children, and the gradual etchings of time on their faces. Love, undimmed. David, their son, raised a toast. His voice boomed over the laughter. To Mom and Dad, 65 years of love, laughter, and weathering life's storms together. You're an inspiration to us all. A collective cheer echoed through the room, followed by a toast. All eyes turned toward the couple of honor. Martha, her face beaming with joy, reached for Henry's hand. Then, unexpectedly, the air shifted. "There's something I need to tell you all," she murmured, voice trembling. The room fell silent. The cheerful chatter gave way to an unsettling hush. The clinking of glasses paused, replaced by sharp intakes of breath from a few guests. Anticipation hung heavy in the air as everyone waited for Martha to speak. The joyful celebration was now caught in a moment of suspense. Martha continued to speak softly, barely audible. 50 years ago, I made a mistake, a fleeting one-night affair. The revelation cut through the room like a gunshot. Forks clattered to the floor, replaced by sighs of disbelief. The slideshow on the screen flickered, happy memories suddenly overshadowed by a dark cloud. Henry, his face pale, looked at Martha. His hand instinctively reached for his chest, his eyes reflecting shock, betrayal, and deep, raw pain. David, pale with shock, surveyed the room. His gaze fell on the worried children. The joyful atmosphere vanished, giving way to a suffocating feeling of betrayal. Laughter, the clinking of glasses, and happy memories seemed like a cruel joke in the face of a devastating secret. Tears appeared in Martha's eyes. She begged for understanding, but her words were lost in the deafening silence that spoke of the future of their seemingly unbreakable bond. The weight of her past hung in the air, threatening to destroy the foundation of their 65 years together. The party suddenly felt like it hit a brick wall. Laughter faded away and was replaced by an awkward silence so thick it seemed you could cut it with a knife. Martha's confession hung in the air like a bomb dropped during their 65th anniversary celebration. Everyone was stunned, unable to speak. David, their son, tried to break the silence. "Dad, are you okay?" he whispered softly, his voice barely audible. Henry stared blankly at a spot on the wall, his face pale and drained of all color. He looked older than his 85 years. His whole world seemed turned upside down. Martha's eyes were red and puffy from crying, regret filling the room. "It was a mistake, Henry," she choked out. "A one-night stand 50 years ago. I never meant to hurt you." Her apology bounced off Henry like a rubber ball. He had given his entire life to her. They had been through everything together. Now this felt like a deep betrayal, leaving a wound that would never stop bleeding. The rest of the night was a complete mess. Guests left early, their faces full of concern. They left behind an empty house and a half-eaten cake, as if the celebration had suddenly ended. The party itself sensed something terribly wrong as the house fell into a heavy silence. Henry and Martha were in their bedroom, once shared, but now vast and empty. The room was filled with unspoken words and growing distance. Martha reached for Henry's hand, but he pulled away coldly. Tears streamed down her face silently. Henry finally spoke with a hoarse voice. "I need some time, Martha, to think, to understand." His simple words carried the weight of many unspoken accusations. Turning away, Henry left Martha alone in darkness. The deafening silence was her only answer. One whispered sentence on a day meant for celebration changed everything. Now they faced the wreckage, uncertain if any pieces were left to pick up. The situation between Henry and Martha deteriorated, leading to a temporary living separation. Martha, overcome with curiosity, watched as Henry pulled out the first scroll. The familiar scroll sent a shiver down his spine. The letter was from Colin, a name that haunted Martha. The narrative in the letter revealed a terrible choice that no wife should have to face. Henry lost his job. The family faced great hardships, barely feeding the children. The children's clothes became worn out, and Martha, driven by love and desperation, turned to a mutual acquaintance, Colin, for help. He offered an interest-free loan until their situation improved. Henry lived in their converted backyard space, while Martha remained in the house. One day, while cleaning an old shoebox in the closet, Henry stumbled upon a shocking discovery. Inside the shoebox was a bundle of faded letters, addressed to someone unknown, stirring memories and emotions long buried and forgotten. Initially, the situation seemed manageable, but after a few weeks, Colin's behavior changed. He began demanding an immediate refund, breaking previous agreements. Despite Martha being given enough time, Colin became relentless. The pressure on Martha grew, severely affecting her health and mental state. Meanwhile, Henry, consumed by guilt, spent days in futile job searches in newspapers, wondering if he could have done more. Martha faced a painful choice. Colin offered a terrible condition. The debt would disappear in exchange for an intimate favor. Naturally, she was deeply offended by this proposal. Under immense pressure, and with her children's well-being at stake, Martha eventually gave in. Henry, after reading the last letter, experienced mixed feelings. A rage ignited in his soul because of Colin's manipulations. Admiration blossomed for Martha's sacrifice, and a piercing guilt for neglecting her struggle at home. He was consumed by his own problems and did not notice the quiet war his wife was waging on the home front. The discovery of the letters changed his inner state. Reading about her desperate fight and the terrible choice she had to make, anger and resentment began to melt away. He started to understand the heavy burden she bore alone. He realized what Martha had gone through in their darkest hour, despite her own limitations. He set out to find her with the letters in hand. Martha's eyes filled with fear and anticipation as she looked at the letters. Henry was silent, simply handing them over, an invitation to face the past together. Tears ran down Martha's face as she read, reliving the nightmare and burden she had hidden for so long. The discovery of the letters and new understanding changed everything. A glimmer of hope emerged for their relationship as Henry finally broke the silence with a low, hesitant voice. "Martha, he began, struggling to express his tangled thoughts. Martha's eyes met his, filled with sadness and defiance. She whispered softly, "It's okay, Henry. You don't need to say anything." Yet Henry felt compelled to speak. The guilt that had gnawed at Henry for so long returned, along with helplessness from their struggles, now mixed with a new understanding and realization of Martha's pain. "No, I do," Henry said firmly, looking down at the letters again, then back at Martha. "I never knew. I never understood what you went through. What you did was hard," he continued. "I know. But you did what you had to do for our family." Martha's eyes widened in surprise at his acknowledgement. No one, not even Henry, had ever recognized her sacrifice before. The dam broke, and tears streamed down Martha's cheeks as she finally felt seen. Henry reached out and took her hand. His touch was shaky at first, but then gained strength, symbolizing a fragile yet growing connection between them. He had no idea what the future held, but one thing was certain. Their bond was beginning to heal through understanding and forgiveness. It was clear that they were no longer alone in their trials. Henry spoke with a heavy heart, admitting that he had previously been immersed in self-pity and blamed the world for all problems. He told Martha that she was carrying the whole burden on her shoulders. Martha squeezed his hand. Her voice was hoarse, but she said she would do it again for their children. There were difficulties, moments of doubt, and painful wounds from the past. But now they had each other and the courage to take the first step together. The porch swing creaked quietly as Henry and Martha sat together, illuminated by the soft evening light. It was the same place where Henry had sat alone months earlier, consumed by anger and despair. Now a quiet peace had settled between them. They recalled their youth. Smiles and wrinkles around their eyes appeared from laughter, remembering shared memories. They talked about their first date, the joy of their children's first embraces, and the countless adventures they had experienced together. They also acknowledged the difficulties, quarrels, and misunderstandings that their love had endured over the years. A recent crisis threatened to tear their relationship apart, but they had been through a lot. "We've been through a lot, haven't we?" Martha said, quietly and sincerely. Henry nodded, his gaze lingering on Martha's face. "Yes, we've been through a lot, but we're still together, Martha." Martha reached out and squeezed his hand. "That's what matters," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. They sat in silence together, their hands intertwined. An unspoken question hung in the air. What if? What if the betrayal was not out of despair, but out of passion? Would the outcome have been different? Maybe, maybe not. They would never know the truth. But one thing was clear. They chose each other again and again. Through hardships and trials, they stayed together. Now, looking to the future, they move forward with determination. They intend to cherish every moment they have left as the stars begin to twinkle in the night sky. Henry leaned closer to Martha and gently kissed her on the forehead. It was a simple gesture with deep meaning. This kiss spoke of love, forgiveness, and their mutual commitment to walk through life together. They decided to cherish the time they had left, holding hands as they always did, always together, no matter what.